I still remember the moment I wrote that check, $15,000, my signature scrawled across it like some kind of promise. It wasn't just money to me. It was a gesture, a way to show Ava, my sister-in-law, that I had her back. She'd been talking about her dream wedding for years, ever since she got engaged to Miles, and I figured this was my chance to step up. Claire, my wife, had been so excited when I offered to cover the venue costs. "You're the best," she'd said, kissing my cheek, her eyes bright with that look I used to live for. I felt good about it, proud even. It was a family thing, right? Something you do for the people you care about. So I handed over the money, no questions asked, imagining the big day. Me in a suit, Claire by my side, watching Ava walk down the aisle in a place I'd helped make possible. That was the picture in my head. But then, a few days before the wedding, everything flipped upside down. It started with a text. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone after a long day at work, when Claire's message popped up. "Hey, just a heads up, we decided to keep the wedding super intimate. Hope you understand." I read it once, then twice, because my brain couldn't catch up. Intimate? What did that even mean? I'd paid for the venue. A gorgeous hall with chandeliers and a dance floor big enough for 100 people. I'd seen the guest list weeks ago, and my name was on it. Claire's too. We were family, not some distant cousins you could scratch off to save a plate. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't reply right away. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling this weird tightness in my chest. It wasn't just shock. It was something heavier, something that made my stomach twist. I called her. I had to. "Claire, what's going on?" I asked, keeping my voice steady even though my mind was racing. She picked up on the second ring, her tone casual, like she was telling me about a grocery list. "Oh, hey. Yeah, Ava just wanted to scale it back. You know, make it more personal. Close friends only." Close friends only? I almost laughed, but it caught in my throat. "I paid for it, Claire. 15 grand. And now I'm not even invited." There was a pause, and I could hear her shifting on the other end, like she was trying to find the right words. "It's not like that," she said finally. "It's not personal. Ava she wanted a different vibe." A different vibe. That's what she gave me after 10 years of marriage, after all I'd done for her sister. I leaned back against the couch, the leather creaking under me, and rubbed my face with my free hand. I thought about Ava, how I'd helped her fix her credit score when she couldn't get a loan, how I'd co-signed for her car when she was drowning in debt, how I'd stayed up late proofreading her portfolio when she was chasing that big job. I wasn't just her brother-in-law. I was the guy who showed up. And now here I was, cut from the guest list like some random +1 who didn't make the cut. "Claire," I said, my voice low, "I'm not some stranger. I'm family. I deserve to be there." She sighed, and I could picture her rolling her eyes. "You're making this bigger than it is, Julian. It's just a wedding. Just a wedding." Those words hit me like a slap. I hung up without saying goodbye, something I'd never done before. My phone sat heavy in my hand, and I stared at it, replaying her voice in my head. I kept waiting for her to call back, to say it was a mistake, that of course I was still invited. But she didn't. The silence stretched on, and with every minute, that tightness in my chest turned into something else. Anger, maybe, or betrayal. I'd poured my money, my trust, into this family, and they'd tossed me aside without a second thought. I looked around our living room, the framed photos of us smiling, the coffee table we'd picked out together, and it all felt like a lie. I wasn't just shocked anymore. I was done. I stood up, my legs shaky but my mind clear. If they didn't want me there, fine. I wasn't going to beg. I'd given them enough, more than enough, and what did I get? A text. A lousy text telling me I didn't belong. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and cracked it open, the cold fizz snapping me out of my haze. I took a long sip, letting it settle, and then I made a decision. They could have their intimate wedding without me. But I wasn't going to sit here feeling sorry for myself. I'd find a way to turn this around, to take back what they'd stolen, not just the money, but the respect I'd earned. I didn't know how yet, but as I stood there, the bottle cold against my palm, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let this go quietly. They'd made their choice. Now it was my turn. I couldn't let it sit there, festering in my head like some unanswered question. After hanging up on Claire, I paced the kitchen, the beer still sweating in my hand, the taste bitter on my tongue. "It's not personal," she'd said. Not personal? How do you write a guy a check for 15 grand and then tell him he's not welcome at the party he paid for and call it not personal? I needed answers, real ones, not that vague nonsense she'd fed me. So I called her back. The phone rang 3 times before she picked up, and when she did, her voice had that edge, like she was already annoyed I wasn't letting it go. "What now, Julian?" she said, and I could hear the clink of dishes in the background, like she was washing up while I was falling apart. "Claire, I need you to explain this to me," I said, keeping my tone even, though my grip on the phone was tight enough to hurt. "I paid for Ava's wedding. I handed over the money, no hesitation, because I thought it mattered. And now you're telling me I'm not invited because she wants close friends only? What am I then? Just the bank?" She let out a long breath, the kind she does when she thinks I'm being dramatic. "Look," she said, "it's not about the money. Ava just wanted it small. Intimate. You know how she is, she's got this vision, and we're trying to respect that." I laughed, short and sharp, because I couldn't help it. Respect? Where's the respect for me? I've been there for her, Claire. You know that. The car loan, the credit mess, her portfolio, I stayed up half the night helping her land that job. And this is what I get. There was a pause, and then I heard another voice cut in, Lorraine, Claire's mom, loud and brassy on speakerphone. "Julian, you're overreacting," she said, like she was scolding a kid who spilled juice on the carpet. "It's just one day. You don't need to make a mountain out of this." I froze, my jaw tightening. Lorraine always had a way of jumping in, acting like she could fix everything with a few sharp words. But this time, it didn't calm me down. It lit a fire. "One day." I shot back. "I paid $15,000 for that one day, Lorraine. I'm not some guest who RSVP'd late. I made it happen. And you're all acting like it's nothing." Claire jumped in then, her voice softer, like she was trying to smooth things over. "It's not nothing, okay? We appreciate what you did. Ava appreciates it. But this is her wedding, and she gets to decide who's there. It's not about you. Not about me." I leaned against the counter, the edge digging into my back, and let that sink in. 10 years with Claire. 10 years of showing up for her family, and it wasn't about me. "So that's it," I said, quieter now, though my heart was pounding. "I fork over the cash, and Ava gets to treat me like I'm nobody?" Claire sighed again. "You're not nobody. You're just not part of this one thing. Can't you let it go? Let it go." I closed my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. I could picture them, Claire and Lorraine, probably standing in Lorraine's kitchen, rolling their eyes at each other, thinking I was blowing this out of proportion. But they didn't get it. This wasn't about a party. It was about being dismissed, erased, after everything I'd done. I thought of Ava, how she'd hugged me when I co-signed her loan, how she'd called me her big brother when I fixed her credit. And now she couldn't even pick up the phone to tell me herself? She left Claire to do the dirty work, like I wasn't worth the effort. "Julian, say something," Claire said, pulling me back. I opened my eyes, staring at the fridge across from me, the magnets we'd collected from trips together mocking me with their happy little memories. "You're right," I said finally, my voice steady. "It's her wedding. She can do what she wants. But so can I." I hung up again, and this time I didn't feel bad about it. The silence hit me hard, but it wasn't empty, it was alive, buzzing with something I hadn't felt in a long time. Anger, sure, but more than that. Clarity. I set the phone down and took a swig of beer, letting the cold burn my throat. They thought I'd just take it, like I always did. The quiet guy who paid the bills, fixed the problems, kept the peace. I'd been that man for years, shutting up, stepping back, swallowing whatever they threw at me, because that's what family does, right? But not anymore. Something snapped inside me, right there in that kitchen, with the hum of the fridge and the taste of beer on my lips. I wasn't going to beg for a seat at their table. I wasn't going to let them shrug me off with "it's just a wedding" and expect me to smile about it. I walked to the living room, my steps heavier now, and dropped onto the couch. My laptop sat on the coffee table, and I stared at it for a minute, an idea forming. If they didn't want me there, fine. I'd stop playing the fool. I'd stop being their doormat. They could have their intimate day without me, but I wasn't going to sit around waiting for an apology that'd never come. I reached for the laptop, flipped it open, and let my fingers hover over the keys. Whatever came next, it was going to be on my terms. They'd pushed me too far, and I was done being silent. I sat there on the couch, the laptop screen glowing in the dim light of the living room, and I felt this rush, like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally let it out. Claire's words kept echoing in my head. "It's not about you." Fine. If it wasn't about me, then I didn't need to be part of it. I didn't need to sit here, stewing in their dismissal, waiting for them to realize what they'd done. I'd given enough. money, time, patience, and gotten nothing but a text telling me I didn't belong. My fingers moved fast, almost on their own, pulling up a travel site I'd used a couple years back for a work trip. If they didn't want me at the wedding I'd paid for, then I was going somewhere else. Somewhere far from their drama. The screen loaded with options. Beaches, mountains, cities, but my eyes locked on the Caribbean. Blue water, white sand, a place where nobody knew me or expected anything from me. I clicked through, scrolling past budget hotels until I found it. A 5-star resort, oceanfront suite, the kind of place I'd always talked myself out of because it felt too extravagant. Not tonight. Tonight, I wanted extravagant. I wanted to feel like I mattered, even if it was just to myself. First-class ticket, direct flight, leaving in 2 days, just enough time to pack and get out. I didn't hesitate. I typed in my card details, hit book, and leaned back, letting the confirmation email ping into my inbox. Done. I was gone. My phone sat next to me, still silent after I'd hung up on Claire. I picked it up, opened the camera, and snapped a quick shot of the boarding pass on the screen. My hands were steady, but my chest felt tight, not with anger now, but with something else. Defiance, maybe. I uploaded the photo to my social media, the one place I hardly ever posted, and typed out a caption, not invited, but definitely upgraded. I hit post before I could second-guess it. Let them see it. Let Ava see it. Let Claire and Lorraine choke on it for all I cared. I wasn't hiding how I felt anymore. The reactions came quick. My cousin Danny was first, a laughing emoji and savage, man. Then an old coworker, Pete, who wrote, "Good for you, heart." Screw him. I scrolled through, a small grin tugging at my mouth, until a text popped up from a number I hadn't seen in years, Ava's ex, Ryan. "You always were too good for them," it read. I stared at it, surprised he'd even care, but it hit me right. Ryan had dated Ava for 3 years, back when I'd helped her through her credit mess, and he'd seen how her family worked, always taking, never giving back. I didn't reply, but his words stuck with me. Too good for them. Maybe he was right. I stood up, feeling restless, and walked to the bedroom. The closet door creaked as I opened it, pulling out my suitcase, the black one we'd used for our last trip together, Claire and me, to Maine. That felt like a lifetime ago now. I tossed it on the bed and started grabbing clothes, shorts, t-shirts, a couple nice shirts for dinners I'd have alone. Alone. The word hung there, but it didn't scare me. It felt good, like shedding a weight I'd been carrying too long. I folded a pair of swim trunks, picturing myself on that beach, the sun hot on my skin, the ocean loud in my ears. No tight smiles from Lorraine. No, let it go from Claire. Just me, doing what I wanted for once. The phone buzzed again, Claire this time. I glanced at it, saw her name, and swiped it away. I didn't need to hear it. She'd probably seen the post, or Ava had, and now they were scrambling to explain. Too late. I kept packing, methodical, like I was building something new with every shirt I stacked. Socks, sandals, a hat. I moved faster, the plan solidifying in my mind. I'd leave the house clean, lock the door, and disappear. They could have their wedding, their intimate little day, without me hovering in the background like some ghost they didn't want to see. I zipped the suitcase shut and rolled it to the corner, my breathing steady now. The laptop was still open, and I sat back down, pulling up the resort's website. Pictures loaded, palm trees, an infinity pool, a bar right on the sand. I could already taste the rum, feel the breeze. It wasn't just a trip. It was an escape. A middle finger to all of them. I leaned back, my hands behind my head, and let myself imagine it. Stepping off the plane, the heat hitting me, the noise of the airport fading as I headed towards something better. Something mine. The phone lit up again, missed call, Claire. I turned it face down. Let her call. Let Ava text. Let Lorraine leave one of her guilt-trip voicemails. I didn't care anymore. I'd spent years being the guy they could count on, the one who never said no, and they'd taken it for granted. Now they'd see what happened when I stopped showing up. I grabbed my beer from the coffee table, took a long sip, and smiled. Really smiled, for the first time all night. They'd made their choice. I'd made mine, and mine was looking a hell of a lot better than theirs. I stepped off the plane and felt the heat hit me like a wave, thick and humid, wrapping around me as I walked across the tarmac. The Caribbean air smelled different, salty, sweet, alive, and for the first time in days, I could breathe. No more stale living room. No more pacing the kitchen with a beer I barely tasted. Just this. I grabbed my suitcase from baggage claim, the wheels rattling as I rolled it toward the resort shuttle, and I didn't look back. Claire had called twice more before I boarded, but I'd silenced my phone and shoved it deep in my pocket. She didn't get to pull me back now. None of them did. I was here, and they were 1,000 miles away, probably still scrambling to figure out how to spin this to their friends. The resort was everything the website promised. Palm trees lined the drive, their fronds swaying lazy in the breeze, and the lobby opened up to a view of the ocean that stopped me cold. Blue stretched out forever, crashing soft against the shore, and I just stood there, letting it sink in. The check-in lady handed me a glass of champagne, her smile bright and easy, like she didn't know I was running from anything. "Welcome, Mr. Hart," she said, and I liked how it sounded. No judgment, no questions. I took the glass, nodded thanks, and followed the bellhop to my suite. The room was huge, king bed piled with pillows, a balcony bigger than my kitchen back home, and that ocean right there, so close I could hear it whispering through the open doors. I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, and stepped outside. The air was warm on my face, the sun dipping low, painting everything gold. No tight smiles to fake my way through. No passive-aggressive jabs from Lorraine about how I should get over it. Just silence, the good kind, broken only by the waves. I sipped the champagne, the bubbles sharp on my tongue, and felt lighter than I had in years. This was mine, not theirs. Mine. I pulled out my phone, not to check messages, but to take a picture. The glass in my hand, the sunset bleeding into the water, the piece I'd bought with my own money. I posted it, champagne toast to new views. Simple. Let them figure out what it meant. Later, I wandered down to the infinity pool, the water glowing under string lights. I stretched out on a lounge chair, ordered a burger from the poolside menu, juicy, messy, better than anything Claire ever cooked, and watched the sky turn purple. My phone buzzed once, twice, but I ignored it. I didn't need to see their guilt trips or excuses. I took another photo instead, the pool, the burger, the night settling in, and posted that too. Sunset and silence. Perfect combo. I knew Ava would see it. Claire too. Good. Let them scroll through their wedding prep stress and choke on my freedom. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through the curtains, the ocean louder now, calling me out. I threw on swim trunks, grabbed a towel, and headed to the beach. The sand was hot under my feet, the water cool as I waded in, letting it lap around my knees, then my waist. I swam out a little, floating on my back, staring up at a sky so clear it felt unreal. No deadlines. No family meetings. No, Julian, can you just handle this? I stayed out there until my arms ached, then trudged back to shore, dripping and alive. Back in my room, I snapped a shot of the king bed, sheets still messy from sleep, the balcony doors wide open, and posted it, waking up where I belong. That's when Claire texted. I'd been waiting for it, knowing she couldn't stay quiet forever. I leaned against the balcony railing, the phone warm in my hand, and opened it. "Are you really skipping the wedding over this?" Her words were sharp, like she was scolding me, but I could feel the panic underneath. She'd seen the posts? They all had. I stared at the screen, the ocean stretching out in front of me, and typed back one line. Best money I ever spent. Then I attached a photo of me, sunglasses on, ocean behind me, grinning like I hadn't in years. Sent. Done. I didn't wait for her reply. I tossed the phone on the bed and headed downstairs for breakfast. Eggs, bacon, fresh mango so sweet it dripped down my chin. I ate alone at a table by the water, the breeze ruffling the napkin in my lap, and it felt right. No one to impress, no one to appease. Just me, a plate of food, and a view I'd earned. I posted that too, breakfast for one. No regrets. Every picture was a jab, deliberate and sharp, and I knew they'd sting. Ava had wanted her vibe. Well, this was mine. By afternoon, I was back at the pool, a beer in hand, the sun baking my skin. The phone stayed quiet for a while, and I let myself sink into it. The heat, the drink, the nothing. I didn't owe them a damn thing. Not an explanation, not a call back, not even a thought. I'd spent years bending over backwards for them, fixing Ava's messes, nodding through Lorraine's lectures, biting my tongue when Claire took their side. And for what? To be cut from a wedding I'd funded? No more. I took one last photo that day, the beer bottle sweating in my hand, the pool shimmering behind it, and captioned it, "Here's to me." Then I turned the phone off, leaned back, and closed my eyes. Let them deal with their intimate day. I was done carrying their weight. I was sprawled out on a lounge chair by the pool, the sun high overhead, a mimosa sweating in my hand, when the wedding day rolled around. Back home, they'd be fussing with flowers, zipping Ava into her dress, toasting to a future I'd helped pay for but wasn't part of. Here, the only sound was the splash of water and the hum of a bartender shaking cocktails across the deck. I'd turned my phone off last night after that last post. The beer, the pool, here's to me, and I hadn't touched it since. No point. I knew Claire would be mad, Ava might be sulking, and Lorraine would be preaching about family duty. I didn't care. I sipped the mimosa, the orange juice sharp and cold, and let the heat sink into my skin. This was my day now, not theirs. Around noon, I wandered back to my suite, the tile cool under my bare feet, and grabbed a book I'd packed, an old thriller I'd been meaning to read for months. I settled on the balcony, the ocean rolling out below me, and lost myself in it. No interruptions, no Julian, can you grab this? Just me and the pages. Hours slipped by, the sun sliding lower, and I felt this calm I hadn't known in years. I didn't need their chaos. I didn't need their approval. I was good, better than good, right here, alone with the waves and a story that didn't involve me fixing anything. Then the phone started buzzing. I turned it back on to check the time, figuring I'd order room service soon, and the second it powered up, it went off like a siren. Missed calls, dozens of them, lighting up the screen. Claire, Lorraine, Ava, even a couple numbers I didn't recognize. My stomach tightened, but not with worry, with curiosity. What the hell was going on? I scrolled through, ignoring the voicemails for now, and saw a text from Serena, Claire's cousin, the only one in that family who ever seemed to get me. You will not believe what just happened, it read. No details, just that, and I knew it was big. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over her name, then hit call. She picked up on the first ring, her voice breathless, like she'd been waiting. Julian, oh my God, where are you? I leaned back in the chair, the ocean breeze tugging at my shirt. Still in paradise, I said, keeping it light. What's up? She laughed, short and wild, then launched in. The wedding's a disaster. Miles, he left. Walked out. Right in the middle of the reception. I sat up straighter, the mimosa forgotten on the table. What? I said, not sure I'd heard right. Yeah, she went on. It was insane. They had this huge fight, Ava and Miles, right after the toasts. He stormed out, she threw a vase, Lorraine fainted. The whole thing's imploded. I listened, my mouth half open, as she spilled it all. Apparently, it started small, Ava snapping at Miles over some seating thing. But it blew up fast. Guests were whispering. The DJ was packing up, and then Miles just grabbed his jacket and left. Ava screamed after him. Lorraine hit the floor, and Claire was running around trying to hold it together. And now they're all calling you, Serena said, her voice dropping. Claire's freaking out, saying you need to come home. Ava's crying that it's your fault somehow. It's a mess. My fault? I laughed, loud and hard, the sound bouncing off the balcony. My fault? I'm not even there, Serena. I know, she said, laughing too. It's ridiculous. But they're desperate. They think you'd fix it, like you always do. I shook my head, staring out at the water. Fix it? Of course they did. I was the guy who smoothed things over, who talked people down, who paid the bills when they couldn't. And now, with their perfect day in shambles, they wanted me to swoop in and save them. I took a long breath, the salt air filling my lungs, and felt something settle inside me. They're on their own this time, I said. I'm done fixing their messes. Serena went quiet for a second, then said, good for you. Honestly, Julian, they don't deserve you. I smiled, small but real. Thanks, I said, and meant it. She promised to keep me posted, then hung up, leaving me with the hum of the ocean and a story I couldn't have made up if I tried. I leaned back, picking up the mimosa again, and took a slow sip. The wedding I'd funded, 15 grand down the drain, was falling apart, and they were scrambling to drag me back into it. But I wasn't budging. I'd built this piece, brick by brick, and I wasn't letting them tear it down. I set the glass down and grabbed my phone again, scrolling through the missed calls. Claire, 10 times. Lorraine, 5. Ava, 3, plus a text. Please call me. I snorted, shaking my head. Please call me. Where was that politeness when they cut me out? I didn't open it, didn't reply. Instead, I stood up, stretched, and walked to the edge of the balcony. The sun was dipping now, orange streaking the sky, and I felt this rush, like I dodged something heavy, something I'd been carrying too long. They could cry, scream, faint all they wanted. I wasn't their lifeline anymore. I ordered room service, steak, fries, a beer, and ate it out there, the night closing in, the waves louder than ever. The phone stayed quiet after that, like they'd given up, and I let it sit there, untouched. I didn't need to know more. Serena had painted the picture, and it was enough. They'd made their bed, vase throwing, groom walking out chaos, and they could lie in it. I finished the beer, leaned back, and closed my eyes. The wedding was theirs to ruin. This piece? This was mine to keep. I woke up the next morning to sunlight spilling across the bed, the ocean a steady hum outside my window. The wedding was yesterday. Shattered, according to Serena, and I'd slept better than I had in months. No dreams of Claire's voice nagging me, no guilt twisting my gut. Just quiet. I stretched, my feet hitting the cool floor, and padded to the balcony. The air was warm already, the water glinting under a clear sky, and I stood there, hands on the railing, feeling like I'd won something. They'd crashed and burned back home, and I was here, untouchable. I didn't need to fix it. I didn't need to care. That thought alone made me grin. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand, expecting more missed calls, and sure enough, they were there: Claire, Lorraine, Ava, piling up like debt notices. I scrolled past them, not bothering to listen to the voicemails. What could they say? Come home, Julian? We need you? Too late for that. I'd always been the fixer, the guy who calmed Ava down when she overdrafted her account, who talked Lorraine out of her tantrums, who kept Claire steady when her family spun out. They'd leaned on me for years, and I'd let them, thinking that's what you do for people you love. But love's a two-way street, and they'd left me on the curb. Now they were drowning, and I wasn't throwing them a rope. Claire's last text popped up as I scrolled. This is your family, too. I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the screen. My family. Funny how that only mattered when they needed something. Where was that family talk when they cut me from the guest list? When they took my money and gave me a heads-up text instead of a seat? I set the phone down, my jaw tight, and walked to the bathroom. I didn't owe her a reply. I didn't owe her anything. The mirror showed me a guy who looked tired, but alive, stubble on my chin, eyes clearer than they'd been in weeks. I splashed water on my face, letting it drip, and made a choice right there. They weren't getting me back. I pulled on a shirt and shorts, grabbed my phone again, and opened the camera. The balcony view was perfect, ocean stretching out, sky endless, and I snapped a shot. No filter, just the truth of it. I posted it with a caption, "When you're excluded from the wedding, but not from peace." Simple, sharp, and I knew they'd see it. Then I started blocking them. Claire first, her number, her profile, gone with a tap. Lorraine next, her voice already fading from my head. Ava last, her name lingered a second longer, but I hit the button anyway. One by one, I cut the cords. My phone felt lighter after, like I dropped a weight I didn't know I was carrying. Breakfast was downstairs: pancakes, coffee, a side of bacon, eaten slow at a table by the water. The resort was buzzing now, guests laughing, kids splashing in the pool, but I kept to myself, watching the waves. Serena's call kept replaying in my mind. Miles walking out, Ava throwing a vase, Lorraine fainting. It was almost too perfect, like some cosmic payback for the way they'd treated me. I didn't feel bad about it. Not even a little. They'd built that mess, brick by brick, and I wasn't the one to clean it up this time. I took a sip of coffee, the bitterness grounding me, and let myself enjoy it. The food, the view, the freedom. Later, I walked the beach, the sand sticking to my feet, the sun climbing higher. My phone stayed in my pocket, silent now that I'd blocked them. No more buzzing, no more pleas. I waded into the water, letting it swirl around my ankles, and thought about how it used to be. I'd spent years playing the diplomat, smoothing over fights at Thanksgiving, bailing Ava out when she overspent, nodding through Claire's excuses for her family. I'd been good at it, too good, and they'd taken it for granted. Now they were scrambling, and I was here, knee-deep in the ocean, not giving a damn. It felt like waking up. I stayed out there a while, the water cool against my skin, then headed back to the resort. A hammock swung between two palms, and I climbed in, letting it rock me gentle. The sky was a deep blue, clouds drifting slow, and I closed my eyes, the sound of the waves washing over me. They needed me, Serena said it herself, but I was done. Done being the guy who ran in when they called. Done being the silent support they only noticed when it was gone. I'd given them everything: money, time, loyalty, and they'd thrown it back in my face. Let them sort it out. Let Ava cry into her smashed face. Let Claire yell at the empty air. Let Lorraine faint again for all I cared. My phone chirped, a text from Serena. "They're still losing it," she wrote. "Claire's asking where you are." I smirked, typing back, Tell her I'm busy living. I hit send, then turned the phone off again. The hammock swayed, the breeze soft on my face, and I let myself sink into it. This was my space now, my time. They'd had their chance to keep me in their circle, and they'd blown it. I wasn't their fixer anymore. I was just Julian, out here, free, and not looking back. The ocean kept rolling, steady and sure, and I stayed there, rocking in the quiet, knowing I'd made the right call. I was halfway through a plate of grilled fish on the beach, the sand warm under my feet, when my phone lit up with Serena's name again. The sun was dipping low, casting long shadows across the water, and I'd been enjoying the quiet, fork in one hand, a cold beer in the other, the kind of meal that felt like a reward. I wiped my hands on a napkin, curious but not rushed, and picked up the call. "Hey," I said, leaning back in the chair, the ocean breeze tugging at my shirt. "What's the latest disaster?" Serena's voice came through, low and urgent, like she was spilling a secret. "Julian, you need to hear this. It's wild." I took a sip of beer, ready for more chaos, and told her to go ahead. She didn't waste time. Okay, so I got the full story from my brother. He was there when it all went down. Turns out Ava and Claire planned to ditch you from the wedding weeks ago. Like, before you even wrote the check. I froze, the bottle halfway to my mouth. "What?" I said, my voice sharper than I meant it. "Yeah," she went on, "they thought you were too controlling, their words, not mine. Said you'd ruin the vibe because you're too traditional. They figured they'd take the money and just not tell you until the last minute." I set the beer down hard, the glass clinking against the table, and felt my chest tighten. Too controlling? Too traditional? After everything I'd done for them? I stood up, pacing the sand, the phone pressed to my ear. "Serena, I helped Ava get her life together. I paid for her damn car, her credit, her wedding. And they think I'm the problem?" She sighed, heavy and tired. "I know. It's messed up. But that's not even the best part. Miles, he found out. Right before the reception. One of Ava's friends let it slip, and he lost it. Said if they could screw over their own family like that, he didn't trust Ava not to do worse to him. That's when he walked." I stopped pacing, my feet sinking into the sand, and let out a low whistle. "Miles admired me," Serena said it flat out. "He'd always liked how I handled things, how I showed up. And when he heard they'd cut me out, it was the last straw." I laughed, short and bitter, running a hand through my hair. "So let me get this straight. They take my money, ditch me, and it blows up in their faces because the groom had more sense than they did." Serena chuckled, but it was dark. "Pretty much. He told Ava, if you can do this to Julian, you'll do worse to me." Dropped the mic and left. She threw the vase after that, missed him by a mile, hit a table instead. "It's a total shit show." I shook my head, staring out at the water, the waves rolling and steady and calm while my mind spun. Poetic justice didn't even cover it. They'd schemed behind my back, thinking I'd just take it, and it cost them everything. I sat back down, the chair creaking under me, and picked up the beer again. "They really thought I'd ruin the vibe," I said, more to myself than her. "After all I've done." Serena's voice softened. "They're idiots, Julian. Always have been. They just didn't expect you to push back." Push back. Yeah, that's what this was. I'd spent years bending, giving, keeping the peace, and they'd banked on me doing it forever. But I wasn't that guy anymore. I took a long swig, the cold washing away the sting, and felt this strange mix of anger and relief. Anger at how they'd seen me, some stiff they could use and lose. Relief that I was out of it, here, where their mess couldn't touch me. "Thanks for telling me," I said, my voice steady now. "Keep me posted if it gets crazier." She promised she would, then hung up, leaving me with the crash of waves and a truth I couldn't unhear. Weeks. They'd planned it for weeks. I set the phone down and finished the fish, the taste sharp with lime, but my mind was elsewhere. I pictured Ava and Claire, huddled somewhere, deciding I didn't fit their vibe. Claire, my wife, nodding along while Ava cashed my check. It hurt, deep, like a bruise I didn't know I had, but it also set me free. They didn't just betray me. They showed me who they were. I stood up, brushing sand off my shorts, and walked to the water's edge. The tide was coming in, lapping at my toes, and I let it pull the anger out of me. Miles saw it, saw me, and walked away from their lies. That meant something. I wasn't the fool they thought I was. I turned back, grabbed my beer, and headed to the bar up the beach. The bartender slid me another without asking, and I sat there, watching the sunset bleed red into the sea. They'd misjudged me, and it cost them their big day. I didn't need to gloat. I didn't need to post it. Just knowing was enough. I sipped the beer, the night settling in, and felt lighter. They'd wanted me gone, and now they had it. A wedding in pieces, a groom who saw through them, a family scrambling to save face. I didn't have to lift a finger. I just had to be here, living, while they fell apart. The bar got louder, tourists laughing, music kicking up, but I stayed quiet, the truth sinking in. They'd forgotten me, but I hadn't forgotten myself. And that was all I needed. I was sipping coffee on the balcony the next morning, the ocean breeze ruffling the pages of my book, when Serena texted again. The sun was climbing, warming the tiles under my feet, and I'd been enjoying the slow start pancakes from room service, the kind of quiet that felt like a gift. My phone chirped, and I picked it up, expecting more gossip about Ava's meltdown or Claire's whining. But this time, it was different. Grandma Eleanor went off. The message read, followed by a string of laughing emojis. I raised an eyebrow, set the coffee down, and called her. Eleanor, Claire's grandmother, was old school, sharp as a tack, and didn't mess around. If she'd gotten involved, this was about to get good. Serena answered fast, her voice buzzing with excitement. Julian, you missed it. Grandma Eleanor stole the show. I leaned back, the chair creaking, and grinned. Tell me everything, I said, already picturing the old lady in her pearls, laying into someone. Serena didn't hold back. So, after Miles walked out and Ava threw the vase, it was pure chaos, people yelling, Lorraine on the floor, Claire trying to shush everyone. Then Eleanor stands up, right in the middle of it, and just lets loose. I could hear the smirk in her voice as she went on. She said, I swear this is verbatim. This wedding was cursed the moment you disrespected the man who paid for it. Pointed right at Ava and Claire like she was calling them out in church. I laughed, loud and real, the sound bouncing off the balcony. She said that? Out loud. Serena cackled. Oh yeah, dead serious. The room went quiet, awkward quiet, like everyone knew she was right but didn't want to admit it. Then she kept going. Said they brought shame on the family, treating you like some stranger after all you'd done. Called Ava ungrateful and Claire spineless. It was brutal. I shook my head, still grinning, and took a sip of coffee. Eleanor had always liked me, called me dependable at family dinners, patted my hand like I was her favorite. I didn't think she'd go to war for me, though. This was gold. What did they do? I asked, leaning forward now, hooked. Serena's voice dropped, like she was reliving it. Ava started crying harder, like, sobbing, saying it wasn't her fault. Claire tried to argue, but Eleanor shut her down. Told her, you don't bite the hand that feeds you, girl. Then she sat back down, sipped her wine, and that was it. The DJ packed up right after, said he wasn't playing for a train wreck. The bar closed early. Guests started leaving, whispering about how Eleanor was right. It was over. Claire's still a mess, Ava's hiding somewhere, and Lorraine's claiming it's all stress. I snorted, setting the cup down. Stress they made themselves. Exactly, Serena said. Eleanor's the only one who came out looking good. Everyone's talking about her now, how she called it like it was. You should have seen their faces, Julian. They didn't know what hit them. I leaned against the railing, staring out at the water, and felt this warm rush like vindication, but sweeter. Eleanor didn't just defend me. She'd ripped the mask off their whole act. Disrespect. Ungrateful. Spineless. Her words hit harder than anything I could have said, and she'd said them for me, without me even being there. It was perfect. I thanked Serena, told her to keep me posted, and hung up, my mind spinning. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through my photos, me on the beach, the pool, the sunset, and smirked. They tried to erase me, and it backfired so bad even Grandma Eleanor couldn't stay quiet. I didn't need to be there to win. I was winning right here, with every wave crashing below me. I finished the coffee, the bitterness lingering, and walked back inside. The suite felt bigger somehow, like I'd claimed it fully now. No guilt, no second-guessing, just me, free, while they drowned in their own mess. Later, I hit the pool, the water cool against the afternoon heat. I swam slow laps, letting Eleanor's words roll through my head. Curse the moment you disrespected the man who paid for it. Damn right it was. I'd put up the cash, the trust, the years, and they'd thrown it away for some vibe that didn't even last. Now Ava had no groom, Claire had no dignity, and Lorraine had no excuses. I climbed out, dripping, and stretched out on a lounge chair, the sun drying me off. A waiter brought me a beer, unasked, and I tipped him with a nod. This was my life now, simple, easy, mine. I thought about Claire sobbing, Ava hiding, the guests slinking out after Eleanor's speech. It didn't make me sad. It didn't even make me mad anymore. It just felt right, like the world had balanced itself out. I'd been the backbone they didn't see until it was gone, and now they were falling apart without me. I took a long pull from the beer, the cold biting my throat, and let myself enjoy it. Poetic justice didn't get sweeter than this. Eleanor had said what they wouldn't. I deserved better. And I was taking it, one sip, one swim, one sunset at a time. The day faded into evening, and I stayed by the pool, watching the lights flicker on. My phone stayed quiet, no more calls, no more texts, and I didn't check it. I didn't need to. Serena's story was enough. Eleanor's fury had sealed it. They'd lost everything they'd schemed for, and I'd gained something they couldn't touch. I leaned back, the chair cushion soft under me, and closed my eyes. The ocean hummed in the distance, steady and sure, and I let it carry me. They could keep their chaos. I had this. I woke up to the sound of waves, soft and steady, pulling me out of a dream I couldn't quite remember. The sun was just peeking through the curtains, painting the room gold, and I lay there for a minute, letting it sink in. Another day here, another day away from their mess. My phone was still off from last night, Eleanor's takedown still fresh in my mind, and I didn't feel like turning it back on. Serena had filled me in enough. Claire sobbing, Ava hiding, the wedding a wreck. They didn't need me to see the fallout. But then a new text popped up when I finally powered it on, from Serena again. They're planning a healing dinner when you get back. Claire and Lorraine think it'll fix everything. I laughed, low and dry, and tossed the phone on the bed. Fix everything? They couldn't fix a damn thing. I got up, stretched, and walked to the balcony. The ocean was calm today, stretching out like glass, and I leaned on the railing, breathing in the salt air. A healing dinner. What a joke. They'd cut me out, schemed behind my back, and now they wanted to sit around a table, pass the mashed potatoes, and pretend it never happened. Claire would probably cry, say she missed me, while Lorraine preached about family sticking together. Ava might even show up, head down, mumbling apologies she didn't mean. I could see it. Same old routine, same old guilt trips. But I wasn't going back for that. Not tomorrow, not next week, not ever if I could help it. I grabbed my shorts and a shirt, deciding to extend this trip. Why rush home to their drama? I called the front desk, my voice steady as I asked for another week. Oceanfront suite, same as now, I said, and the guy on the line didn't blink. Yes, Mr. Hart, we can make that happen. I hung up, feeling lighter already, and booked a massage for later, deep tissue, something to knead out the last of the tension they'd left in me. Then I made a dinner reservation on the beach, table for one, right by the water. No healing needed here. I was already whole. I texted Serena back. They wanted a wedding without me. Now they have a mess without me. She replied fast. Iconic. I smirked, pocketing the phone, and headed downstairs for breakfast. The restaurant was quiet, just a few early risers, and I took my usual spot by the water, coffee, eggs, a side of fruit. The mango was ripe, juicy, and I ate slow, watching the waves. They thought I'd come running back, sit through their dinner, nod along like nothing happened. But I wasn't that guy anymore. I'd spent years swallowing their crap, fixing Ava's mistakes, taking Lorraine's lectures, letting Claire play both sides. No more. This trip wasn't just a break. It was a line in the sand. After breakfast, I walked the beach, the sun climbing higher, the sand warm under my feet. My phone stayed in my pocket, off again, and I let my mind wander. I thought about Claire, how she looked at me when I handed over that check, all smiles and "you're the best." How she'd turned around and planned to ditch me, thinking I'd never push back. I thought about Ava, too, her hugs, her big brother crap, all fake when it mattered. And Lorraine, always acting like she knew best, shrugging off my 15 grand like it was pocket change. They'd built this idea of me quiet, reliable, easy to use, and I'd let them. But not now. I stopped, wading into the water, letting it swirl around my ankles. The cold snapped me out of it, and I felt this clarity, like I was seeing myself for the first time in years. I didn't need their dinner, their apologies, their closure. I didn't need anything from them. I'd given enough money, time, trust, and they'd thrown it away. Let them sit around their table, staring at an empty chair, figuring out how to live without me. I was done being their crutch. I turned back, the tide tugging at my feet, and headed to the resort. The massage was in an hour, and I wasn't missing it. The spa was quiet, all soft music and dim lights, and I sank into the table, the masseuse working out knots I didn't know I had. My shoulders, my back, years of carrying their weight, gone under her hands. I closed my eyes, the ocean faint through the walls, and let it go. No closure needed. No dinner required. They'd made their choice, and I'd made mine. When it was over, I felt loose, new, like I'd shed something heavy. I tipped her big, grabbed a water, and walked out into the afternoon sun. Dinner was perfect. Grilled shrimp, a glass of wine, the waves crashing close enough to mist my table. I ate alone, the sky turning pink, and didn't feel lonely. I felt free. Serena's iconic stuck with me, and I pulled out my phone, snapping a shot of the plate, the sunset, the peace. I didn't post it, just kept it for me. They could have their healing dinner, their tears, their mess. I had this shrimp, wine, a horizon that didn't end. I finished the meal, paid the bill, and walked back to my suite, the night warm around me. I shut the phone off for good that night, tossing it on the nightstand. No more updates, no more texts. I didn't need to know what they were planning, what they were saying. I'd heard enough. The ocean sang outside, steady and sure, and I lay back, hands behind my head. They'd wanted me gone, and now they had it. I wasn't going back, not to their dinner, not to their world. This was my time, my space, and I was keeping it. I woke up to the ocean again, the waves rolling in like a heartbeat, steady and alive. The room was bright, sunlight sneaking past the curtains, and I didn't move right away, just lay there, feeling the quiet settle over me. No buzzing phone, no calls to answer, no one needing me to fix anything. For years, I'd opened my eyes to some kind of demand. Claire's voice, Ava's emergencies, Lorraine's guilt trips. But not today. Today was mine, start to finish, and I felt this peace I hadn't known I'd lost. I rolled out of bed, my feet hitting the floor, and stretched, the ache from yesterday's massage already faded. I was lighter now, in every way. I walked to the balcony, the air warm and salty, and leaned on the railing. The water stretched out forever, blue and endless, and I stood there, letting it fill me up. I'd spent so long being their guy, the one who paid, who fixed, who stayed silent while they took. 10 years with Claire, more with her family, and I'd given everything, money, time, myself, thinking that's what you do. But they didn't give back. They took my check, cut me out, and expected me to keep playing along. Now they were scrambling, planning their healing dinner, and I was here, waking up to this. I didn't need their table. I had the ocean. I grabbed a shirt and shorts, slipped on sandals, and headed downstairs. Breakfast was the same, coffee, eggs, fruit, but it tasted better today, sharper, like I was really tasting it for the first time. I sat by the water, the breeze tugging at my napkin, and ate slow, watching the waves. My phone stayed off, tucked in my pocket, and I didn't miss it. Serena's last text, Claire and Lorraine plotting their fix, felt like a lifetime ago. They could plot all they wanted. I wasn't going back to nod through their excuses, to let them smooth it over with a plate of food and fake tears. I was done being their support system. After breakfast, I walked the beach, the sand soft under my feet, the sun climbing higher. I thought about deleting it all, the messages, the guilt trips, the years of bending over backwards. Not just blocking them, but wiping them clean from my life. I stopped, pulling out my phone, and powered it on. The screen lit up, missed calls, texts, voicemails I hadn't checked. Claire, we need to talk. Ava, I'm sorry, okay? Lorraine, this isn't how family acts. I stared at them, my thumb hovering, and then started deleting. One by one, I erased their words, their voices, their pull. It wasn't anger driving me. It was freedom. I didn't need their apologies. I didn't need their mess. When it was done, the phone felt empty, clean, like a fresh start. I turned it off again, slipped it back in my pocket, and kept walking. The tide was low, leaving shells scattered across the shore, and I picked up a small one. White, smooth, perfect. I held it, rolling it between my fingers, and smiled. This was enough. The beach, the shell, the quiet. I didn't need more. I'd spent so long chasing their approval, their gratitude, and got nothing but a text telling me I didn't belong. Now I belonged here, to myself, and it was better than anything they could offer. I spent the day easy, swam in the pool, read by the water, grabbed a sandwich from the bar. Every hour was mine, no one else's, and I sank into it. Late afternoon, I booked a sunset cruise, one of those boats with open decks and free wine. I didn't need company, didn't want it. Just me and the sea. I showered, threw on a clean shirt, and headed down to the dock as the sky turned orange. The boat was small, a dozen people maybe, but I kept to the edge, glass in hand, watching the horizon. The captain said something about dolphins, but I wasn't listening. I was too busy feeling it. The wind, the salt, the weight lifting off me. The sun dipped lower, red bleeding into the water, and I pulled out my phone one last time. I snapped a shot, the wine glass, the sunset, the boat cutting through the waves, and opened my social media. I hadn't posted since that poolside beer, but this felt right. I typed slow, the words simple. They called it petty. I call it peace. Then I hit post, public for anyone to see, and turned the phone off again. Let them read it. Claire, Ava, Lorraine, whoever. Let them stew in it. I wasn't hiding anymore, wasn't running. I was living, and they couldn't touch me. The boat rocked gentle, the wine cool in my hand, and I leaned on the railing as the sun sank below the edge. The sky darkened, stars popping out, and I stayed there, breathing it in. This was my rebirth, not some dramatic overhaul, but a quiet one, built from the ashes of their betrayal. I didn't need their dinner, their tears, their family. I'd given myself what they never could: time, space, respect. The boat turned back, the shore lights flickering in the distance, and I finished the wine, the glass empty and light. Back at the resort, I walked to my suite, the night warm around me. I didn't check my phone, didn't care who'd seen the post. I kicked off my sandals, dropped onto the bed, and listened to the waves. They'd called it petty, my trip, my silence, my escape. But they were wrong. This wasn't spite. This was peace, hard-won and mine alone. I closed my eyes, the ocean singing me to sleep, and let it carry me away. They were gone. I was here, and that was all that mattered.